just insanity, the craziness. I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly.
We are.
Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Greetings. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. I had a good Friday and Saturday. Things have been going really well for me. That being said, yesterday I placed one bet. It was, I'm sorry. I lost Ohio State. So I lost the only college basketball bet that I placed. But I did get my Bowman top 10 in the Daytona 500. You love to see it. That last lap was crazy. For those of you that weren't watching, I took Corey LaJoie top 10 at plus 500, and I took and I also put a small bet down on Corey LaJoie to win the race at plus 12,000. Last lap, he's in third place, spins out and falls out of the top 10, literally in the final half mile of the race. So I did win my biggest NASCAR bet, which was Bowman top 10 at plus 130. So that was awesome, but I was close to really hitting it, and there was a lot of people in our group that took Corey LaJoie too, so it was a fun last lap of the race here.
And he did really well, like a lot of the race, because he was leading at the beginning of the race too, and then he had a little bit of fallout, and then he came back and he was in that top 20 range for a while. That was a really fun race. I tailed both of your plays, so
yeah, I mean he was running strong. Corey LaJoie top 10 at plus 500, 100% a great bet. Like
I was watching it with my father-in-law, and he's like, "How the hell do you guys know to bet LaJoie?" I said, "I don't know. You got to ask Kyle."
Yeah, he was running strong, man. But yeah, so we're on to Monday. We just have 3 games loaded up. There are a bunch of mid-majors. If you guys want to throw some picks in the comments, I'll read them out for you, but slim pickings.
Yeah. I was going to say, I went over the games. There was just, it's either you're laying multiple possessions with bad teams or you're making a coin flip pick 'em pick, and it's just not something that I was trying to. There wasn't one mid-major game that I loved today. It's pretty slim pickings, so. But yeah, throw them out in the comments if you do.
Homie with the big feet, I saw your tweet. I am going to do my best to keep up with it this year. Homie with the big feet requested that I do NASCAR videos every week throughout the summer. I'm going to try. Sometimes it gets tough. I mean, those weekend morning baseball shows, and it's tough. It's easy when it's All-Star weekend. Not every weekend is All-Star weekend. So I'll do my best. But yeah, let's start off with Duke on the road at UVA. I would love to take Virginia here, but this number is just too small. I mean, 13.5. Virginia sucks. They truly are shit. But I mean, Duke's got Illinois on deck. Going on the road to Virginia, they should be able to play some defense and make Duke's life uncomfortable 100%. So, I mean, this is a spot to play Virginia, but they're just so bad that I think the market has already cooked in that this is a spot to play Virginia, because based on the way these two teams played, this number should be 18.5, 19. Now, you could put Virginia up because the only way I'd go is Virginia, but I need more points to actually place the bet. I think Virginia can slow the game down and play some defense and make Duke's life difficult, but the talent discrepancy here is just a little too insane for me to actually pull the trigger. So it's Virginia or pass, but I don't think I'm actually going to place a bet here.
Yeah, it would be under 132 for me or pass. I agree with everything you said. I don't like this spot for Duke, and I understand that Virginia is really, really bad. But at the same time, not only does Duke have Illinois on deck, that game is in Madison Square Garden. So maybe there's no way in hell that they're not looking at that game. And yes, again, Virginia is really bad, but both of these teams run pretty slow paces. Duke's not in trying to run a track meet against anybody. They can if they want to, but they're not trying to look to run all the time. So I do think that this game is going to be a kind of a slow, grinded out game. I think Virginia maybe scores 40, 50 points max, and it's just a matter of how engaged Duke is, because Obviously, if Duke was super engaged, they could put up 100 depending on how this pace went. But I do like the fact that Virginia can match up with them size-wise. Again, Virginia's absolutely terrible. I'm not trying to make a case to bet Virginia. I'm just saying that there are little positive things in Virginia's favor with the slow pace and the low total and catching 14 and a half, 15 points or whatever it is now. So it's just a spot that there's no way I play Duke as good as they've been. But at the same time, I don't know if I can take the points with Virginia. So I think that Duke could win this game, 75-40, and we would cash an under pretty easily. So yeah, it would be under or pass for me.
Trevor is in the comments, who, by the way, I thought Trevor's working at this time, or else I would have asked him to come on.
He's a bad worker. He's probably working.
Yeah. So Trevor says Virginia plus 14 / Virginia money line plus 780.
No.
Virginia beat Duke outright the last time they were double-digit dogs against them. Duke overlooking these guys on the road. I did say that. They do have Illinois on deck, which is obviously a much bigger game for Duke. Maybe I'll put a few dollars on Virginia. If Trevor's going to be in the Discord rooting for him, maybe I'll get down on that. Next. Kansas State, Utah. God, this might be a candidate for fake sharp play of the day. I mean, Utah minus 2.5 is. You got to have yes, it's a quote unquote sharp spot to play Utah and lay the points after. I mean, they look strong against Kansas. Kansas State has looked like shit the last couple. The last couple.
One game.
No, two.
Really? What was bad beating Arizona?
Shit.
At home?
No, it's just one. But okay. So all right, that even makes. You can put Kansas State up for me.
That makes your point even better.
Yeah, yes. I saw Toast's on Kansas State, and I think I'm going to jump on Kansas State with you. So you got Utah, who just played Kansas tough, and you got Kansas State, who just looked like shit against BYU. But spot-wise, it's almost to be expected. I mean, you got Kansas State coming off the huge win over Arizona, then going into the elevation against BYU. And same thing goes for Kansas. I mean, they were playing all kinds of tough games. They go into the elevation to play Utah. So I think the sell high spot on Utah, buy low spot on Kansas State. The wrong team's favorite here. They should be laying a couple. It definitely, if you're quote unquote line reading, Utah minus 2.5, like is what the market's telling you, right? Because everyone wants to bet Kansas State. I would declare Utah minus 2.5 my quote unquote fake sharp play of the day. Kansas State wins outright. I think I'm going to bet this.
Yeah, 100% feel the same way. Is the line kind of weird? Absolutely. I don't want to be that guy that's coming on here being like, oh, wrong team favored. Got to take the other team. But I do feel like the wrong team's favored. I mean, Utah, in what world is Utah a favorite against anybody in the conference game that's not named maybe Oklahoma State, like on the road? But besides that, like, why are we laying points here? Yes, Kansas State had one bad game against BYU, as Kyle mentioned. That was after beating Iowa State, Arizona State, Kansas, and Arizona. And then, like he said, traveling to elevation. Well, now they're used to the elevation. It's a very, very short bus ride from BYU to Utah. I don't worry about them being up in the elevation. Again, I bet Kansas State last night at 2.5. I bet Kansas State this morning at 3 as well. I truly believe at minimum this game should be a pick, but there's no way in hell Kansas State should be getting points in this game. I don't care if it's square. I understand that Utah is very big and they're going to have a significant rebounding advantage, but I don't really care when you have a Utah team that turns the ball over a ton as well, and they don't force turnovers at all. So I trust this Kansas State team to get the job done here today. And again, I just feel like this number's off. Like, I'm sorry. I think that, 2.5 with Utah laying that number at home is just absolutely
apparently
insane.
You can get 3 now.
I bet 3 this morning too.
So, I'm reading the comments. 100% agree. I mean, no question, this is going to be a public dog here. And like based on the line, the quote unquote professional side would be to lay the points with Utah, right?
But we've seen these spots multiple times this year where you assume that the right side is going to be that home team laying points when they quote unquote shouldn't be, a la Alabama this weekend. And
Illinois,
it hasn't worked
Michigan
out.
State.
I was going to say that. You can go through a ton of them, but more or less the ones that are like 1.5 to 2.5 point spreads where these teams probably shouldn't be favored, but you're just taking it because the line tells you. A lot of those spots that have been very successful in recent years past haven't been as successful this year. So that's another reason why I'm not really gun shy to take the points here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bet this one, Kansas State. Freaking Trevor's on Utah. Bad pick, Trev. Bad pick.
You know what Trevor did? Trevor's got all cocky because I was on Colorado too, but I think he saw the Colorado pick. Trevor's getting a little cocky, taking these mountain teams laying points. Don't get too crazy, Trevor. Don't get too crazy.
Trevor, stay grounded, bro.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
Next up. Go ahead, Toast. You like this one? Is that the Kendrick song?
Yeah, that's the only thing I've heard the last 3 days.
You've never heard that song before the Super Bowl, have you?
I had like a few times. Matter of fact, I did. When I was in California was the first day it came out because I was at Cool Kicks and the weed shop next door was bumping it on speakers. And I was like, what is that? And they're like, it's the new Kendrick.
Oh.
And yeah.
Well, there you have it.
I had heard it. I just don't really pay attention to that garbage. Anyway,
that
Baylor.
garbage? It's a good song.
I mean, yeah, it's a good song that's been played 50 million times. No one wants to listen to it anymore.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But you were just humming it, so.
I know that's the problem. It sucks. Baylor on Baylor minus 2.5. I actually played Baylor money line personally. It's at 1.5 now. I don't really care. Baylor's my favorite play of the day. I have almost 2 full units on Baylor. Okay, first and foremost, is Arizona good? Yes, there's no question about that. I truly believe, like I said before, when this team, sorry, I was getting my notes. When this team, after that team lost to UCLA, they really turned a corner. But at the same time, this is their first year in the Big 12, and I'm not the only person to talk about this. But at the same, you got to think that this is a lot for this team coming into the back end stretch of this Big 12 schedule. And look at who they've played to start the year in conference play: TCU, Cincinnati, West Virginia, UCF, Baylor, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Colorado. Not really the upper echelon, as you would say, of the Big 12 conference. And now here we are later in the second half of this conference season, and they're not. And Arizona's kind of starting to fall off. They beat Arizona State. They had that really lucky win against Iowa State at home. Again, it was in overtime. We all know the Caleb Love shot. That's a lucky win. I don't care what anybody says. They got the job done in overtime, but that's still a lucky win. And then they beat an Arizona State team that's not really decent. They went in and beat BYU, but then they beat Texas Tech. And then that you starts to see where they get on the road to lose in Kansas State, then they come home and then they lose a pretty convincing game to Houston. I know they were kind of in that game, so what? But as Trevor said 1,000 times, teams that play Houston, teams after they play Houston is really not a good spot. And you have a Baylor team that's coming in here that's finally starting to get healthy. Langston Love's had 3 or 4 games under his belt right now. Not to mention the fact that this Arizona team has been pretty lucky. I was reading up on shot quality this morning, and Arizona's been really lucky with teams shooting the 3-point against them. They're supposed to be teams are supposed to be shooting close to like 35% or something like that. They're really only shooting like 29%. So there's some positive regression coming in Baylor's way. I think that everybody's going to try to run towards Arizona because of the short number and how well they've been playing. But the fact that they're playing in Houston, or the fact that they just played Houston, and the fact that they're on the road, and the fact that Baylor will be able to beat them with the 3-ball. Baylor's a very good 3-point shooting team, one of the best teams in the conference. So if that luck or that regression, I would say, starts to hit Arizona, it's really going to favor Baylor. So again, the fact that Baylor's healthy is what is riding me here. Like the fact that they are finally a fully healthy team. They're going to have everybody in the lineup tonight: Roach, Amir, Edgecombe, Wright, everybody.
No, not the center.
Who?
The big defensive dude.
Edgecome's out?
No, the big defensive guy.
Oh, I don't care about that then. That's fine. As long as Edge comes in. Yeah. So.
I mean, I think he is a starter. I mean, he's not one of their premier players, but I think he is the guy number 17 who he was.
Yeah, he's the backup though. I'm not.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's good. He's good at times. I mean, but he's still a backup. Owania, or however you say his last name.
Well, if you have number 15 out there playing the 5, that's concerning.
I know. Dude, number 15 came through for me when he needed it to. So number 15 is okay.
I
dare you. I dare you to take Arizona.
Give me the over. Arizona's got the size, man. They could score on the interior on Baylor. Number 15 sucks. He doesn't have what it takes. Baylor could shoot the 3-ball on Arizona.
I just want to say for the record that number 15, the whole day that we were cussing them out, we won that bet. So
yeah, no thanks to number 15. Dude, I don't know if I could bet Baylor again after seeing number 15. He's like one of their best players too.
I know. We're talking about Northrop Amir, the kid from Miami, by the way, if anybody doesn't know who number 15.
Don't bet on Baylor in March. I'll tell you that. Not if number 15 seeing serious minutes.
Yeah, don't bet a Scott Drew team in March. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, I think over. Baylor could shoot the 3-ball in Arizona, but Arizona should be able to get some offensive boards, score on the interior. They're bigger than Baylor without that big guy, number 17. They're bigger. Size advantage.
They are bigger. Yeah.
Baylor shooting threes. Arizona scoring on the interior. Points, right?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I really can't argue that at all. I think that Baylor's going to try to slow this game down a little bit, which could affect Arizona offensively. But I agree that if Arizona's going to win this game or put up points, they're going to have to do it in transition. And yeah, I agree. And you also have Arizona and Baylor, the top 2 free throw shooting teams in the conference.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Tomorrow we got a ton. We'll be back at midnight tonight to go through. It's Tuesday, which means we're going to have a lot of good game. I'm looking at the site. We got a lot of good games. So we'll be back at midnight to go through a bunch of them. And then starting Wednesday, we're back into the NBA. Actually, just one game on Wednesday. Thursday is when we're really back. So a couple more days of this. Just been updating the spreadsheet. Got some cool things to show you guys. We'll get back into it when the NBA returns on Wednesday.
Thursday is a loaded day too because you're going to have the finals of that 4 Nation for the hockey too, which I know you don't care about, but a lot of people do. So it'll be a big day Thursday.
Yeah, we'll be capping that out. Be a cap off.
Thank you, Beaver.
The final of the 4
in.
Nations.
No, the hockey all-star thing is just not my thing. I
know. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that like it. That's all I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, just from the way people were reacting, the games were awesome. It's just I'm not the biggest hockey guy, number one. I also don't like exhibition stuff, like where it's like the All-Star game, who cares, number two. And I'm also not like a patriotic guy. Like, I don't care, like USA versus Canada, whatever. Like, I'm not anti-USA. I'm just I'm not like all in. I'm not all in on rooting for like somebody just because they were born in the same vicinity as me. It's just not my thing. I'm waiting for the NBA to come back. But all right, hit me up in the Discord if you need me. League starts tomorrow for this week. I didn't do the league today. Fell asleep last night. Didn't get it up. So the new week starts tomorrow for the league. Everyone, talk to you later.
All right.